So today we'll start off with cancer, tumors of the liver. We'll go from benign tumor to malignant tumors. Now, first of all, we'll be discussing about hepatocellular adenoma. So in tumors of liver, the first one that we'll be discussing. Okay. So what is hepatocellular adenoma? First, specifically, what is an adenoma? Adenoma is a benign structure that is formed, or it is basically a benign tumor formed from glandular structures that is present in the hepatocyte. So your hepatocytes will have several glands present in between them in the tissue, and in that tissue, one of those glands is enlarging. Okay, it is becoming a tumor that is benign in nature. It is not malignant in nature. Okay, it will not cause pure cancer. It is just a tumor, benign tumor. So that is hepatocellular adenoma. Now, these are relatively rare. Adenomas arising from hepatocytes are relatively rare, but they are reported in women, specifically um, reported in women uh, in reproductive age group. Reproductive age group, especially those women who are using oral contraceptives, or uh, they are actively having intercourse, or they are having hormone therapy. Okay, and with pregnancy. So hepatocellular carcinoma as such is a rare condition, but even if it is seen, it is generally seen in patients who are women, and they are in the reproductive age group, generally who are on oral contraceptives or on hormone therapy, or whether they are pregnant. Okay, the pathological changes that you see in hepatocellular adenoma is that the tumors will generally occur singly. Okay, in the sense that they will only be, hold on, I'll show you an image for hepatocellular adenoma, how it looks. Once again. Yeah. See, this is how a hepatocellular adenoma will look. If you can see the small mass that is present, that is an adenoma. All right. These adenomas generally occur singly, or sometimes in 10% of the cases, they will occur in multiples. 90% of the time, there will only be a single adenoma that is present, but 10% of the time, there will be multiple of those adenomas, and they are either partly or completely encapsulated, meaning they are covered by a capsule, and they are slightly lighter in color compared to the adjacent liver tissues. You can see here they are slightly lighter in color than this thing, and the size of the tumor may vary. Sometimes they are only a few centimeters in size, or sometimes they can be as large as 30 centimeters. So they can be pretty large as well. Even though it is a benign tumor, it can cause a lot of problems. It can start compressing on the surrounding structures and cause problems. So they mostly occur singly, um, multiple in 10% of cases. Okay, slightly lighter than adjacent liver tissue. Also, they might be stained by bile sometimes if that what you call tumor is pressing onto your bile canaliculi, and if there is a rupture in bile canaliculi, this adenoma might get what you call stained with bile. It can happen sometimes. Um, this is size from a few centimeters to 30 centimeters. Okay, so it can become quite big. That is about hepatocellular adenoma. Now coming to the next one, we have bile duct adenoma. Bile duct adenoma can be either a intrahepatic or extrahepatic. So in either intrahepatic or extrahepatic bile duct, an adenoma can occur. This is also a very rare benign tumor. Rare benign tumor can occur in intra or extrahepatic bile ducts. Okay. What they do is generally whenever these tumors occur, they are very small and they are composed of acini. Okay, they'll be like acini of your lung. They'll be in that structure, and these are lined by biliary epithelium. Generally, they are separated by connective tissue. These tumors that are being present, small acini-like tumors, these will be separated by connective tissue. So that is about bile duct adenoma. Don't have a lot. The specific one that we'll be focusing on will be hepatocellular carcinoma. We'll get to that. These are small ones that will come before this. Then we have hemangioma. Hemangioma is a special type of tumor. This is also a benign tumor, but this is a tumor that contains blood vessels. Okay, think of it like a small pouch that contains a lot of blood vessels. If it is ruptured, a lot of blood will be lost. Okay, these are the most common type of benign tumors in liver. Most common type of benign tumor in liver. Okay, and most of them will remain asymptomatic through until unless you actually operate and remove the hemangioma or drain the hemangioma. As such, it will not cause a problem. Rarely what happens is this hemangioma may rupture, and when it ruptures, it it will cause blood to leak out into your peritoneal cavity. So that can happen. Okay, I'll repeat once again. Hemangioma is a small tumor that is basically formed by, think of it like a lump of blood vessels. Okay, a lot of blood vessels becoming a lump-like structure, and that lump-like structure will more often than not remain asymptomatic. As such, it will not cause any problems. Hemangioma looks like this. One second, I'll show you. Hemangioma. Yeah, see, this is how a hemangioma looks. Okay, as you can see, there's a small tumor like structure that contains a lot of blood vessels. Now sometimes what happens is, rarely, this hemangioma will rupture, and in under the pressure of your liver, it will rupture, and at that point, whenever it is rupturing, what will happen is the blood that is coming out of this hemangioma will tend to drain into your peritoneal cavity. So your peritoneal cavity gets filled with blood. That can happen. Pathologically, these hemangiomas occur solitary or multiple. Sometimes they can only be a single one, or they can be multiple, but they are circumscribed, meaning they have very well cleanly defined boundaries. Okay, they will not spread around diffusely. Hemangioma has very good boundaries, and they are like reddish purple lesions. Okay, and they're commonly subcapsular. They'll be present under your capsule inside your liver, mostly present in the right lobe, but they can occur all over your liver. And the size of that hemangioma may vary from a few to a few centimeters. Not very large, but generally it will vary from a few centimeters to maybe a few millimeters to maybe a centimeter or two. Okay, so I'll write down those points here. Hemangioma rarely ruptures into peritoneal cavity. Uh, Solitary or multiple, circumscribed, meaning it has a very well defined boundary. Okay, and they are reddish purple. Also, they are commonly subcapsular, ranges from few to few centimeters. Okay, from a few millimeters to a few centimeters will be the size of this hemangioma. Now coming to the primary malignant tumors. Okay, the primary one that we'll be discussing is hepatocellular carcinoma. It is kind of an important type of carcinoma because this is the most common type of malignant tumor that you find in your liver. Okay, so hepatocellular carcinoma. Hepatocellular carcinoma, as I told you, it is also called liver cell carcinoma, or sometimes even called hepatoma. Okay, hepatoma or liver cell carcinoma. This fellow will generally, this is very common, and especially in case of men. Generally, men tend to be 4 to 6 times more likely to develop hepatocellular carcinoma than women. Okay, so men are 4 to 6 times more likely to develop. This is also called HCC. Okay, hepatocellular carcinoma को HCC बोलते हैं, than women. Now, specifically in the ages of 50 to 60, 50 to 60 years of age, mostly. Okay, um, 50 to 60. Right. Coming to the causes of hepatocellular carcinoma, though we do not know the exact cause, there are some pre-existing factors that will play a role in hepatocellular carcinoma. Those factors will be, so if I talk about etiology, the causes of HCC or hepatocellular carcinoma can be hepatitis B and hepatitis C virus, chronic hepatitis C or chronic hepatitis B virus, specifically hepatitis C virus. Generally, what happens is hepatitis C viral infection has a very good chance of developing into hepatocellular carcinoma. Also, cirrhosis. If someone has macronodular post-necrotic cirrhosis, so cirrhosis of macronodular post-necrotic type. So if a patient has developed hepatitis and they have developed cirrhosis, or from any other means they have developed cirrhosis, that patient is more likely to develop hepatocellular carcinoma. Then there is alcoholism. Okay, generally speaking, people who drink alcohol are 4 times more likely, or basically to put it another way, they have fourfold increased risk of developing carcinoma. Um, alcohol alcohol consumers or alcoholics have 4 times a risk of developing HCC than a non-alcoholic. Okay, or someone who drinks doesn't drink alcohol altogether. Then we have a few mycotoxins, toxins that are derived from fungi, specifically aflatoxin B. Aflatoxin B is a specific toxin that you generally get from Aspergillus. Okay, you get this from Aspergillus flavus. Okay, whenever someone is coming in contact with Aspergillus flavus, there is a chance that aflatoxin B can get inside the person's body, and if that toxin remains for a long enough time, it can be very carcinogenic. Okay, causing HCC. Then there are a few chemical carcinogens, specifically nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are food additives. Okay, they are generally used to preserve food, special types of food like bacon, or in a few cheese or things like that. Okay, a few fish have nitrosamines. Whenever some food has nitrosamine itself has been what do you call, related to carcinomas, or it has been related to being a carcinogenic agent. Nitrosamine containing food can be carcinogenic in origin. Then we have hemochromatosis, accumulation of iron inside the body because of impaired metabolism that can lead to HCC. Then we have alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency. Hey, yesterday I asked you a question, right? In which lung condition did we come across alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency? I remember asking you guys yesterday. No one found out. COPD में पढ़े थे, emphysema में पढ़े थे. Alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency can cause loss in elasticity of your bronchioles, if you remember. Then prolonged immunosuppressive agents or immunosuppressive therapy. So someone who has been on anti-cancer therapy for a long period of time, or someone who has been suffering from an autoimmune condition and they have been taking immunosuppressive drugs. Okay, if someone has a autoimmune condition, that means that their own immune system is attacking their body. In such a condition, what you will do is you will externally give agents that can suppress your immune system. If someone has been taken such immunosuppressant drugs, those are called immunosuppressants. Okay, the drugs that will decrease your immune response. People who have been taken immunosuppressive therapy for a long period of time, they have a risk of developing HCC. Then we have smoking, tobacco smoking specifically. Lastly, a few parasitic infections. Now, those parasitic infections can vary a lot, but one of the common parasitic infections known to cause cancer is Schistosoma. Schistosoma hematobium has been related to cause cancer. Now, in decreasing order, the most common cause of your hepatocellular carcinoma, or to put it in another way, most of hepatitis B and hepatitis C patients, or most of the patients who have hepatocellular carcinoma have had a history of Hep B or Hep C, especially Hep C. Then following, they had a history of cirrhosis, or they were alcoholic, or they came across mycotoxins, things like that. Rarely it will be because of parasitic infections. Now, the pathological changes that you see in hepatocellular carcinoma can be in several patterns. There are three important patterns that you see though. Okay, those three important patterns will be, I think I have an image for that. I don't. Okay, never mind. So those three important patterns will be that this carcinoma will either occur as a expanding type, or it will occur as a multifocal type, or it will occur as a infiltrative type. मतलब क्या है इसका? So the pathological changes, what you see inside a liver, pathological changes in hepatocellular carcinoma, HCC, can be, there are several types. We'll be discussing three of them. Okay, we have first of all expanding type. Expanding type का मतलब क्या है? Now let's suppose this is your liver. Okay, inside your liver, especially in your right lobe, okay, you have a distinction here. In your right lobe, generally what happens is a single yellowish brown colored tumor starts forming. So let's suppose this is the one, and let's suppose it starts off like this. Okay, eventually what will happen is this large mass in your right lobe will start expanding. It will become bigger and bigger and bigger, so it will occupy quite a big area. Sometimes it will become very, very big. Okay, this area, or this tumor itself, if you look into the tumor, you will have a small area of necrosis in middle. ठीक है, यहाँ पर you will find one or the other type of necrosis occurring inside the tumor itself. Okay, and what you call, you will also see hemorrhage occurring. Sometimes bile staining occurs along the tumor. So as the tumor starts growing, it will start damaging the nearby hepatocytes. It will start damaging, or it will start disrupting the bile canaliculi and the bile pathway of your liver. All of that will occur, and along with that, in the center you will see necrotizing reaction. Okay, you will see a lot of necrosis occurring in the center of that particular tumor. That is one type, expanding type. Then we have multifocal type. Multifocal type, ठीक है? These are types of tumors. Now multifocal का मतलब है, one second, right, multifocal का मतलब ये है कि there will be multiple small masses. All right, there will be 3 to 5 centimeters in diameter, but there will be so many of them. So let's suppose I have multiple masses like this. Okay, they'll generally vary between 3 to 5 centimeters in diameter, and they are scattered all throughout your liver. Now expanding type mostly occurs in your right lobe. This multifocal type can occur all throughout your liver, okay, disrupting the whole function of your liver. Then we have infiltrative type. Infiltrative type occurs very rarely, but this basically means that it is diffusely infiltrating deeper into the layers of your liver. Generally, expanding and multifocal type will be more towards the surface, whereas infiltrative type will go deep into your liver. All right, that is the difference between infiltrative, multifocal, and expanding type. Now, histologically, if you look at these tumors, what you will be able to see is that you will see trabecular pattern or sinusoidal pattern. Matlab, trabecular basically means that, let's suppose ऐसा मैं एक tube लिया, okay, for example, this there is a small blood vessel like this, and I'm trying to create trabecula inside. Okay, I'll have long extensions like this, okay, made of connective tissue generally, and they will make compartments. These are called trabeculae. Okay, you will see such a pattern inside your liver. So if I show you an image, you'll understand a little better. Yeah, देखो. So if you can see this, the white portion that you are seeing is what you call connective tissue. They are specifically vascular spaces. Okay, you will have blood vessels that are expanding, you will have connective tissue separating the trabecular pattern. So in between them, hepatocytes will become very large, and basically that is a tumor. Okay, and that tumor will become larger and larger, and it will be present in a trabecular form. Generally in one trabeculae or in one compartment, you will see 2 to 8 cells. If you can see in this part from if I start drawing, it will become smaller again. So if you see from this part to this part, there is one sinusoid or one trabeculae. Yahan par you generally have 2 to 8 cells, wide layers of 2 to 8 cells that are separated by vascular layers. Now these what you call trabeculae can have a acinar pattern, in the sense that they will start looking like an acinus. They start looking like a pseudo gland. All right, sometimes, or sometimes they can be compact. Okay, either way, they can be inconspicuous, or sometimes they can have a acinar pattern where they are having a pseudo glandular like structure. Cytologically, if you see inside the hepatocytes that are present in this tumor, the cytoplasm will have a what you call vacuole like or vesicular like nuclei. So the nuclei becomes vesicular, and you will have a very prominent nucleoli. Along with that, in the cytoplasm, initially it will be very granular, and that granules will be eosinophils. Ultimately, what will happen is, as the disease progresses or the cancer progresses more and more, these eosinophilic granules will become basophilic, okay, with increasing malignancy. So that is the cytological changes that occur. I'll just write them down. Sorry. Shit, guys, I have a power cut. I am not sure whether the meeting is going on or not. Hold on.